The market rallied and ran on Friday, but is this what's going to continue on Monday? Well, dark pool data says that this is kind of bizarre and it's unusual and things are not what they seem. So if you want to know what your favorite stocks are likely to do and what the market is likely to do on Monday, this is the video for you. Let's dive right in. Don't skip any part of this video because somewhere in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to gauge the market on Monday, and you're going to be able to do it on Sunday night at 6 p.m. So don't skip any part of the video. I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to discuss what's actually going on in dark pool data and activity right now and why Friday was most likely not what it seems. Before we get started, I just want to point out that I did tell you guys not to buy Palantir, that it was at a high and it could drop to the 150 range. You can see there in the screenshot that Palantir dropped to the 150 range, and here's a clip of me talking about that. Looking at Palantir, another stock that just IDAGF when it comes to this market. It just does not. It really, truly does not. The stock market could be tanking and this stock's flying. This is a very, very risky stock though, because it's all based on future guidance and speculation. Are they living up to this hype? Absolutely. Will they continue to? Most likely. Hopefully so. There's no guarantee. However, with everything in mind here, their price to earnings is insanely bad. Their price to sales is insanely bad, but I do believe in the stock's ability based on what they're doing, what they're showing us. It all lines up. It all looks good. Just understand the risk. Stock is likely to pull back to 129 and it could even pull back to 120. This is always a looming possibility. It only takes one little mistake. I'm trying to FOMO you because this is rough stock at its current valuation. So be very, very cautious with Palantir. So you see what happened on Palantir. This is what I've been telling you guys to understand technical analysis, but also the dark pool data showing me what's exactly going on. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Let's dive right in. And these are the things that I teach to my students in Discord. So if anything confuses you in this video, you're looking to grow your portfolio, become a better trader, better investor, make more consistent profits, and turn those losses into wins and make the profits you see on the screen right now. You can use the link to get started with Discord below. And I look forward to helping you on your financial journey. So on Friday, the stocks rallied on some very mixed news with Jerome Powell. It was very mixed with nothing but questions. Are we going to get rate cuts in September? They alluded to everything, but really nothing was answered. What I can say is that the market rallied on Friday on news that really wasn't that good or bad. Nothing, just a complete rally. And dark pool data that I've been looking at and following very closely this week shows some head and shoulders patterns, and it also shows a lot of unusual options activity on the VIX. What this particularly means is that there's a chance, a very strong chance, that Friday's rally is going to reverse and even more to the downside on Monday. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen for sure, but what I will tell you is that dark pool activity definitely threw a warning flag. Now, I can't share my dark pool data because it's proprietary and I've signed a non-disclosure on it, so I can't share it. But what I can share is what data I have. And this data that I've been researching and following this week shows a very particular pattern that this coming week could be a little bit more bearish than one might think. Now, this is not a for sure thing. Any news over the weekend could change this. Monday morning could open. Things could be exactly like I say it is. And then different type of news comes out. Maybe it's positive, maybe a catalyst, and then everything's fine. But as the way things were Friday when the market closed, it was very odd. Wall Street's main indexes rallied on Friday as investors celebrated comments from U.S. Federal Reserve Jerome Powell hinting at possible interest rate cuts during his long-awaited Jackson Hole Symposium speech. His comments opened the door to a rate cut at the Fed's September 16th to 17th meeting, although Powell stressed the importance of jobs and inflation data that will be available by then. With this, the Dow Jones Industrial Average finally scored a new record close, ending at 45,631.74, which was above its December 4, 2024 finish of 45,014.04. Among other indexes ending at record closes were the New York Stock Exchange Composite NYA, the Russell 1000 RUI, and the S&P Composite 1500, which is the SPSUP, the S&P Financial Sector SPF, and the Philadelphia Gold Silver Index XAU. In any event, nearly all S&P indexes SPX sector rose on Friday, with consumer discretionary up more than 3%. Leading the charge. Staples down just about 0.4%. Among outperformers were the Dow Jones Transportation Average, small caps, RUT, and regional banks. The US dollar DXY tumbled The 10-year Treasury yield, US 10Y, slid to the 4.25% area. Gold rose around 1%, and Bitcoin jumped nearly 4%. S&P 500 growth rose and versus the S&P value, the SVX, on Friday. Still, for the week, growth suffered its worst week versus value since mid-April. This is what I'm talking about. And this is what I'm talking about right here. Critical. The markets were terrible in March and April. We had a big pullback, basically a market crash, a semi-crash with tariff news. And since then, since May 2nd, May 3rd, May 10th, in that week, the stock market's been rallying. Been good, and it's been very strong. We've had our worst week since March, yet it still rallied on Friday around this news, which is not even concrete, which means this is a red flag to me. Very big red flag. It's like a fake out. Of note, the RUT jumped close to 4% on Friday for its biggest daily gain since mid-April. With this, small cap index is now up 3 straight weeks. For the week, the Dow rallied around 1.5%, and the S&P rose about 0.3%, and the NASDAQ composite closed down about 0.6%. So you can see the VIX here is dropping. It's pretty much at its lowest point since all the way back in December 2024. And typically when you get VIX dropping this low, look what happens. As soon as you see the VIX right here, let me lock that. There we go. Once you see the VIX all the way down here, then it makes a big run. All right. We had it happen here. And then right here, we had it happen again from April to July of 24. So that's the August run. Tariff right here. The big tariff issues. Big dip, run. Big dip, run. Dip, run. It's just the way the VIX tends to work. And since we have this downtrend on the VIX, this is what worries me based on volatility. Shrink this down. There we go. You see the VIX right here from its closing point right there, right to here. And there's been a lot of support on the VIX, a lot, right around here at the 11 to 12 range, right there on that orange. You see, this is a really, really steep flag. And when you look at it, the VIX could go high. This is very critical to understand. If we don't get rate cuts in September, this is going to be catastrophic. Now, the chances are very high, but in the next 3 weeks, the market's going to be pretty volatile. It doesn't mean Monday won't run. Monday very well could run, but then Tuesday or Wednesday, it could tank. We don't know that. What we do know, what I do know based on dark pool data, is there's a lot of put buying on certain stocks, there's a lot of call buying on the VIX. There is specific data on the VIX that I want you guys to be aware of. Millions and millions of dollars in call options were bought on the VIX for last week and this week and next week. However, most of them were for this past week, but there is still some looming out there. There's been more than millions, tens of millions of dollars that went into the VIX in put buying for November. What does that tell you? That tells you that short-term high volatility bearish, long-term bullish low volatility. Dark pool expects there to be volatility for now through September and expects October to stabilize and volatility to drop and the market to run in November. That's what dark pool data is showing. And November would be over here. You see, so it'll be perfect for this. Lines up perfectly. There's November and it drops right down. So let me paint a picture for you. Okay. Very clear picture. Dark pool data is buying puts for November. Okay. They bought calls for September. What does this tell you? And look where this wedge is. Right here for September, they're buying calls, volatility, and interest rate cuts. And as we go through October, it settles down. Maybe we get them, maybe we don't. Things settle down. We get them. It's even better. It drops into November and stabilizes like it always does in November. Literally in line with dark pool data. Between now and the end of September is going to be very testing, very trying for your patience and your emotions. Now, there's a very good chance that it just runs. The market just runs in September, but you have to understand the risks. And that's what I'm showing you. I'm showing you exactly what dark pool data is doing. They're buying calls in August and September on the VIX, and they're buying puts in November. There's about 3 million that went into calls 3 separate times here. And there's about 6 million that went into puts here. Okay. It's a lot, which means hedge funds, big institution, big money, the dark pool data is showing us what they're doing, showing me what they're doing. And they believe in a lot of volatility over the next 30 to 45 days because of rate cuts, more specifically the first few weeks of September, where it could come up. We get rate cuts right around here, and then it just drops. So we could see something more or less like this. Either way, volatility is very likely to go up this week and next week. Very likely. And we're also at almost record lows on the VIX. It's the lowest it's been in a year. When we look at durable goods, we got that coming up on the 26th, which is Tuesday. We also have data on Wednesday, which is GDP growth. Actually, is that Wednesday? No, it's Thursday. GDP growth on Thursday, quarter over quarter. Second, this is very important to understand too. Personal income, personal spending, and core price index coming on Friday. All of this data this week is very important. It's going to create volatility in the market. We already know that. VIX is likely to go up this coming week, and even more so because it's at a low and right at a downward wedge right here. This downward trend is going to break out of this wedge. I don't see the VIX dropping here. I see consolidation with an upward move, especially considering the interest rate cuts looming on the table. Big money seems to be rotating out of tech into the financial sector. Bank of America has been running. You can see the trade I put out in Discord right there on the screen, and I printed tens of thousands of dollars in my large account and several thousand in my smaller account, and you guys can see the profits right there as well. Putting out lots of trades this past few weeks that have printed specifically in the financial sector. SOFI is also up. Bank of America has a lot of dark pool activity and data going on. It is likely Bank of America leading up through dividends and earnings coming up in 53 days that it could push up into the $51 range or 52. A lot of dark pool data. Millions of call options were bought a month ago. This is not a trade alert for this video. My Discord and I have already gotten in dollar cost average and made a lot of money. This move has already happened. I put the trade alert out back here in my Discord and we made all kinds of money. So just letting you guys know, showed you on the screen what we're doing in Discord. So if you guys want to make money, grow your portfolio and learn more, you can join and use the information box below. There's a link there to get started with Discord. I would love to help you guys. So Bank of America is looking strong over the next few weeks, and we normally don't talk about stocks like that. American Airlines is also looking fairly strong over the next couple of weeks as well. And I want to point out that SOFI is also looking very strong, although it's hitting a very big resistance and what we call a supply zone. So this is not a good thing because it could push the stock down. I'm not saying it's going to go down for sure, but you can see right here, it's pushing through all of this. There is a big zone here, okay, between 22 and goes all the way to 28. And it goes all the way up to 28.31 actually. So until SOFI breaks $28 and holds, this next $3 push is likely going to result in a lot of consolidation and a lot of pullback. It's just how it works. There's so many sell orders that are up there, which is why I exited my SOFI position at 25.20 and I am going to re-enter at 28. I don't want to be in SOFI in that $3 range because if there's enough selling that continues to happen, it could push the stock back down to 21 or 22. I didn't want that. I got in at 11. So I got at 25. I made like 130%. I think that was like 125%. There's a screenshot right there. Very small position in my smaller account made like $5,000 or more. Very easy to do this when you understand technical analysis, okay? In my big account, I got in at like 625 and got out just under 25. So that is like a 4x return. A lot of money on SOFI, but right now it's hitting this range which goes from 28 to 22. So I'll draw this right here, 28, right around here to 22. So this whole range right here is going to be rough. This is a supply zone. If we really want to get down to the real supply zone, like really get down to the exact moment, then that supply zone is really right about there. Okay, we're not quite even in it yet. Well, we actually are. We're right at the bottom of it. The supply zone, I'll draw it right over so you guys can see the exact moment at which the selling will most likely begin. There's the peak. We'll do this on the 4-hour chart. This is going to drop down right here. This exact zone is where all the selling is. We're going to turn this red. There we go. This is a very broad sell range. It's not that narrow, but it's more narrow than it originally was. See how we're just approaching it? And I drew this right on the actual candlesticks where you're supposed to for a supply zone. It's my way of gauging. It's one of my proprietary ways of doing AVP in supply zones. You'll notice when I drew it across, it just coincidentally landed directly on the top of these candles. This shows you the confluence. It's having a lot of trouble breaking 25, and that's exactly where the supply zone begins, 25 to 28. And I got out right at 25 because during this time, during all of this volatility that we're likely to have, I'm not going to play any part of it until we're at this point right here. Once it goes up, comes back and resists and starts pushing up, then I may get back in. But for most of this, I want no part of it. Palantir, I've told you guys many times I would not want to touch this stock right now. I told you guys when it was way up here and everyone called me crazy and said there's no way Palantir to the moon, and I told you it was going to drop, and look what happened. The stock's trading at a forward multiple of like 200, which is insanely high. I understand all that. Great company. This stock will probably be $500 in 3 or 4 years down the road, maybe sooner. The time is not now. And right now there's a lot of confluence on the 150. If it drops below 150, which is very likely impossible, it's going to come back all the way to like 135 or 130. And I believe there's a very good chance this is going to happen. So be very cautious with Palantir. I showed you guys on earnings that this green box is where the stock would go, and it went right up and resisted in the green box. Then it rallied beyond and dropped below. This area of interest is very, very important to understand. It's my AVP, my proprietary AVP that I teach in Discord, along with my DFib, D-Stochastics RSI, and how to gauge dark pool data. If you guys want to learn all of this and you want to learn how to gauge this and have more wins and make the profits like you're seeing on the screen, we made tens of thousands, $20,000, $30,000, even $60,000 on our most recent trades on XYZ, Meta, and other Discord plays, including Bank of America and Adobe. So if you guys want to be in the Discord and learn how to do this the right way, the link to get started is below. But hey, don't take my word for it. Let's take a listen to what my student Mike had to say. We're here with Mike, and Mike has actually been in my Discord since virtually day one. So I'd like to introduce Mike. Mike, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Corey. My name is Mike. I'm 73 years old, and I joined the Discord to learn strategies to earn passive income. I started out with 25,000 and it's now 84,000. Can't believe it.
That is awesome. That's like a 3x return in 1 year. That's a lot.
I love it. I can't wait to get up in the morning.
Awesome. That is the goal. I'm very, very happy to hear it.
The biggest benefit for me was when we had the 2 coaching calls a week, you can interact with yourself in the coaching calls and you tell us what's going on with the current events. I just eat that stuff up because I do a lot of reading. Coaching calls bring you up to date and put you in the moment so you don't feel like you're missing everything. I would tell them that once they go into the training modules and learn all the strategies, and we post trades in the Discord, and if you take the trades and you're hitting it over 80% success rate, how can you go wrong? It's a fun ride. And boot camp's a blast. They'll have fun with the boot camp. You really learn a lot. You're able to really interact one-on-one with you. And well, who says you can't teach an old dog new tricks? The community in the Discord pulls up other members in the community, and you can interact in general chat. And then when you have specific questions, you can go to the Ask Corey section. It's all there for you. You just have to do it. You're happy. Get a bunch of small wins. You get happier and happier. You'll love it.
So you heard what my student Mike had to say. If you want this to be your success story, remember, putting off today for tomorrow isn't good as someone else put off yesterday for today. It's never a good idea. Take action now. Let's grow your portfolio now. Let's make profits now. Let's get started. I look forward to seeing you in the Discord real soon. And it's what drives me every single day, helping others like yourself achieve financial freedom. NEO is also very strong, particularly with their upgrade and expanding worldwide through European sector and increased sales. NEO is looking poised to run. I think that NEO is going to break through 660, and in the coming weeks, it could be pushing in $7, $7.50 quite easily. This is a stock that I told you guys to get into. This is yet again another stock that I told you guys to buy 3 months ago, and I put like $20,000 into NEO, and people were like, "Oh, why would you put $20,000 into NEO? This is not a good idea. You're going to lose all your money." Well, I'm up like $8,000. See right there on the screen. In my small account, in my smaller position, I am up $8,000. Or almost $8,000. So it looks like those people, wrong again. I was right again. That's why I put money into NEO back in January. I knew Onvo sales were going to do very well. I was very confident in Onvo sales. And I was very confident in the expansion that NEO was beginning to engage upon. And that's exactly why I invested in NEO back in February and March. And I put a lot of money in NEO, or not really a lot, but you know, in my big account I put like $40,000 into NEO, which is pretty decent. That account is up a lot. I'm up like almost $40,000 on NEO in that account. So basically, all in all, I've made 50 grand in a few months on NEO alone. Remember, you buy the bottom, not the peak. When I told everyone to buy NEO, it was back here. I was buying NEO back here and all along here in dollar cost averaging. So when we put this on the 1 hour chart, most of my purchasing on NEO happened right around here. I bought some here, 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 and some here. And now look where NEO is. Very, very easy to do. Dollar cost averaging, my AVP is between 450 and 5. We broke that AVP. So it's back into my old range of AVP, which is 550 to 7, which is exactly where we're at. And if it breaks $7, 736, it's going to run to 950. $7 and then 950 is the next target. So we'll see what NEO does. Very strong for this coming week. HIMS is on the cusp of tanking. This stock literally looks like it's going to drop. And because of the lawsuit, it's dropped all the way down, came back up, mini rally right above 10 and 20 above, and then they're above the 50, 100, and 200. But that's on the 15-minute chart. On the 1 hour chart, it's resisting this top line here. So if HIMS resists 44.92 or 45, it's going to, come right back down. So I would be very cautious here. My Discord had an alert for put options on HIMS, and we printed on that as well. We were able to dollar cost average. We got into some of those puts here. Stock came up. We dollar cost average real cheap. Stock dropped. We made a lot of money in Discord on HIMS. Dark pool data is consistently showing HIMS is bearish. New holdings is very strong as well. Sympathetic to some degree with SOFI. They did great on earnings. They're up in this top range. It's going to be a lot of difficulty for new holdings to break 14. We'll see what that does. Tesla does Tesla things. Even when the market's not doing well, Tesla will kind of do its own thing. I think in the coming weeks, Tesla is going to be slightly bullish, possibly. However, the Cybertruck, as you can see to the right, there is a new Lux package, and the Cybertruck is going up in price, which means more profits for Tesla. But will this be enough to entice investors to invest in Tesla? Probably not, but we shall see about that. But Tesla does Tesla things, so really it depends on Elon, not necessarily just the market. We saw what happened when the market was tanking, Tesla was running. We also saw when the market was running, Tesla was tanking. So it's kind of independent. This is a stock that's going to kind of move independently on interest rate cuts and other things. Not entirely, but to some degree. And it's in a range right now, as you guys can see, between 300 and 340. If it breaks at a 340, it'll make new support here and work its way up to 366 to 370. So keep your eye on Tesla. Tesla right now, I would wait to see what happens at this current range this week and with interest rate cuts. SPY is looking very strong, making new all-time highs over and over again. What you need to worry about, though, is a double top peak on the 4 hour. You see that right here and right here. I think this week's going to consolidate and drop back down. I think this next few weeks, we could see something like this and then comes back up and runs. Really, I would price the potential that SPY could drop anywhere between 620 and 634 this week. We could see ourselves in a nice $10 to $15 drop on the SPY, especially with all of the call option buying on the VIX and the way things are going. We're really needing SPY to break here. We will see if that happens on Monday. I'm now going to show you how to gauge the market in the after hours on Sunday. But first, let's take a quick look over at NVDA. NVIDIA has earnings coming up in 4 days, which is also part of the reason why I sold out of a lot of my positions in Discord. I don't like this storm of selling, buying, and volatility that follows NVIDIA. So when we look at NVIDIA, the stock has actually dropped. You can see it's come up right here, down, up, and it's kind of stagnating. And we have earnings on the 27th, which is next Wednesday in the after hours at 4 p.m. So there's a lot of market volatility that's going to transpire with this. Very, very cautious trading in the market this week because of all the data and NVIDIA earnings. And it's likely NVIDIA could come down if they don't crush earnings. And with interest rate cuts the way they are, it's possible. I think NVIDIA will do okay, but it's very hard to tell at this point because of market volatility data coming out. NVIDIA usually beats earnings, but if they miss, this stock could come all the way down to 130 or 140, like right down here. But it's hard to tell if they're going to miss. It looks like they're going to crush like they always do, but be very cautious. There's going to be a lot of volatility in the market this week. And there's a good chance that they beat earnings. It could run, but how much power does NVIDIA really have? With the market sentiment the way it is, can it really push? Can it really push up with the market the way it's likely to be with all this VIX call buying and the dark pool data? We will find out this week, but be very, very careful. So now I'm going to show you how to gauge the market Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Before anything even happens Monday, I'm going to show you how to gauge it because China market opens up at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday night. The Japanese market opens up at 9 p.m. Eastern, and the European market market opens up at 2 a.m. Eastern. A lot of things going on in the overnight hours. You want to type in MES, MES1, which is right here, micro mini S&P 500 futures. Whatever happens here in the overnight hours, Sunday starting at 6 p.m., if we see a gap down like this, or we see a gap up like this, then that's what's likely to follow Monday morning. And once a gap up happens, the support becomes here. Once a gap down happens, the resistance begins here. So the line is in the middle. Wherever it goes, it's going to be harder to break opposite. So this is what happens. I'm going to show you guys how we gauge the market. I use a specific instance on the S&P futures. If we were to go over to the SPY, so we'll go over to May 11th on the SPY, it gapped up. We go to Tesla on May 11th. You'll see right here, it gapped up. So whatever the MES is showing you on Sunday night, it's what's likely to happen in the market, almost for sure. And if we look here on pretty much every Sunday, it'll show you what's going to happen. Like, look right here. Sunday, July 27th, it gapped up. Sunday, July 27th, okay? We'll look at Tesla on Sunday, July 27th, which was right here. And you see it gapped up. See? If we use Apple as an example, you'll see right here, July 28th, 27th on the Sunday, just like the MES. See right here, gapped up. Apple, gapped up. So no matter how small the gap is or how large it is or what's going on or which direction, pretty much whatever happens in the MES overnight, tomorrow night, Sunday night, is indicative of what's likely to happen on Monday morning. If you guys want to grow your portfolio, make the profits like you're seeing on the screen right now, and you wish you had gotten in the Bank of America trade, you wish you'd gotten in the XYZ trade when PayPal dumped and all the YouTubers were pumping PayPal, and I told everyone to get an XYZ. Maybe you wanted to make the trades on Adobe. Maybe you wish you got into my Microsoft trade. I've made almost $400,000 just on these plays alone in the past 4 or 5 months, and my students have made tens of thousands of dollars. If you want to grow your portfolio, let me show you what you're doing wrong and show you why the market is rigged against you. The link to join Discord is below, and I look forward to helping you grow your portfolio. One love, fam. I'll see you on the next one. Be careful this week.